now. Is there anyone out there who wants to go fast? Anybody?
I want to go fast.
So here was the final product. I just went ahead and used zip ties to mount it using some existing holes. This works quite well. As tested, the temperatures are awesome. Even if you stress it out and get the fan up to 50%, you still can't hear it because this is such a quiet fan. Unfortunately, you can't run two, so I think maybe if you got two small fans, maybe it would work. Maybe like two 60s. Like two 60s here, one here, one here. The 80s won't work, 92 won't work, but maybe 260 or 75. Anyway, I'm very happy with this setup, except it looks terrible. Works well. This cools this well, and then there's temperature going here. You can feel it. I tested it inside the case. So if you had a front flow here, that would cool that. I feel like you can't really get any better, but I had to try. So here's the next step. By coincidence, I found an ad for this 970. And if you see in the other video, we used a 950 twin fan. Those fans didn't work. But I found a video online where someone did put twin fans on their 1060, but the fans were the same brand, EVGA. This is an EVGA card. This is an EVGA card. And he was able to get the twin fans to work. And the one that I tried was Asus. So I went and picked this up. Check this out. If you thought that heatsink was big, this is a monster compared to this. Look how big it is. I mean, it's crazy. So I plugged this power connector into this board and turned it on, and it did boot and it did work. I haven't installed it yet, but it did spin both fans. So basically, if you can get two fans that are a low enough power draw, you can make this work. This has 3 P pipes instead of 2. It has a heat sink here for that area. It's also from an EVGA card. So let's cross our fingers. If this will fit, this will be the one. So we'll be right back. Here it is. It fits. So 1060 single fan, EVGA, 6 GB. Now with a dual fan, which bolted on barely, so you have to use the outside screws as before. There's a heat sink here which would attach to this part right here. The heat sink thermal pad touches this. This is the 970 it's from. So the thermal pad touches here. I think these are called transistors, not sure. Someone can correct me on that. It doesn't touch these. So I put another little thermal pad there. I'm not sure if it touches or not. I'll find out when I take it off again. So anyway, on this card, there's not, see how there's many here? On this card, there's only a few. So I don't really think you need that to be cooled. But it's there anyway. I think it's maybe touching. Problem now is I can't use my heatsink on the memory chips. So no heat sinking there. I could still do it from the back like I did before. But in this case, the fans are now blowing directly on the heatsink. I mean, on the fans are blowing directly on the memory. So I think we'll be fine. The other issue I had is that the connector doesn't quite reach, and I had to really wrestle with it to get it in there, so hopefully that works. I already tested the fans, so I think we're good to go. We'll just eventually remove this sticker, and we'll call this a 1060 SSC model custom. And then my 140 fan, which I have here. This fan is going to be in front of the case, about that far away. And we're going to try and make this just be low RPM, and it's going to blow gently here. So we're going to cool all of these things. And then we have the two fans here for that. When I did test it on this card already before I mounted it, and they didn't come on until 60 degrees. So I think between this air and the big heatsink, we're probably going to have a pretty silent setup until you actually play a game. And then when it does, hopefully, we'll see what the temps are. I think I had it written down. Just to recap, should be 70. Furmark, I was getting 70 degrees max. Overclock by 200, I was getting 72. With the bequiet fan on the Heaven benchmark, I was getting 78. So I want to see if maybe we can get it. If we could somehow get it to be just 70 under full load, that would be awesome. But I think there's probably there's only so much that we can do here on this chip. It runs hot anyway. So, all right, I'm gonna pop it in and let's test it out and benchmark. And here it is installed in the Dell Optiplex, which is not a great fit. I still have to get this cage out of the way and mount the fan in front, but we're gonna test it without the fan. There's the overclock result. Stock FPS was about 75, and we're running at 75 degrees. Furmark score, my previous best was 4791 at 80 FPS. And there we have 4922 at 82. And 77, a little hotter because I don't have the fan manually ramped up. This is just on auto. Fan speed wasn't very much. Great, so the experiment is complete. The twin fan EVGA thing that I showed you earlier worked perfectly. It was a little bit of a hassle to fit that power connector on there. And the results were mildly better. So that means that it wasn't like a huge gap between, like this was way better than the stock one, but having that extra, much more heatsink area didn't make huge gains, just a little bit. I would say probably less than 10%, but it has potential. Again, the little 1060 card, you know, it can only do so much. If you put, you know, 100,000 heat sinks on it, it just can't cool itself fast enough. Apparently, from what I've heard, the cards they made longer to help with the heat dissipation. And but I'm happy with it, because when I had this fan just kind of strapped to the heatsink, it didn't look very good. It worked well, but it just looked terrible. And now that I have that twin fan case with the shroud and everything, it kind of looks like it's supposed to be that way, so that's cool. It's very good. So I just want to do my final thoughts on this, and for people that are going to try to put these kind of mods on their 1060, I'm not actually sure if there's really that many people trying to do this anymore. At the end of the day, just buy a 1060 SSC and you'll be done. You know, the graphics card prices are getting super cheap right now. That's why I'm finding all of these, because people are just dumping their cards because they're buying the 3060 or the 2080 or whatever. So basically any heatsink, it seems like, will work. If you're gonna do a 1060 single fan, you just want to be careful of the DVI port right here, so it can't be too long that way. Because I picked up the EVGA twin fan 970, it actually had a cutout for the DVI port. And so my first suggestion for you is, if you're going to do this, buy the twin fan heatsink from the same manufacturer, because you know they've probably made it work with several different versions, and so it's going to bolt on better. Again, this uses the larger pattern. I couldn't find one that used the smaller pattern. So also, you don't have to go twin fan. 1-bit fan is fine. Even an 80 is probably fine. Maybe don't put it exactly on the heatsink. If you can raise it up a little bit, or maybe, like I said, just bolt this to the case and cut a hole and just have it blow like that would work. Also, I feel like that the reason why, I was just looking at this, the reason why I couldn't run twin fans possibly with this setup, and then I don't know if it's voltage or amps. So there's 2 fans here, that's quarter amp, so that's 50 amps. And it would not boot with this. It would try, if I would turn it on first and then plug in the connector, it would work, but it didn't like having that much amps pulling, so that's a 1/2 amp. This fan, which I had as a single fan, is 0.32 amps. So maybe find fans that don't pull as much amperage, maybe that'll work better. I guess you obviously want to be less than 1/2 amp because of that not working. But I really don't feel like these flowed that much anyway. A couple of notes about the results with my twin fan. So there were actually a few, through all the testing, there were like 2 or 3 points where this actually performed better on the small heatsink. And I think it's just because I was controlling this fan sort of manually, and on the testing I did with the twin fans, it was auto, and it waits to turn on. You know, it doesn't turn on till 60 degrees, and then it goes to like 20% and then 30%, and it's just waiting and waiting and waiting and waiting until it gets super hot, then it turns on really fast, whereas this was more of a gradual thing. So you don't necessarily need a twin fan, but what you do need is just a big heatsink. Get one of these. People are selling these actually on eBay for 40 bucks just for this part, and that's crazy because you can buy the entire card like I did for $25 and just take the heatsink off and then potentially sell the card to somebody else. Also, do not try to zip tie the fan to the heatsink, because this will happen. This is very, very thin aluminum, so it does not like to be touched. Try to find one, if you're looking at various options, try to find a heatsink that maybe has these raised like this, because that lets you do things underneath. You know, some of them have a copper pipe here to connect to the board, but since you have a different board, it might actually interfere with you trying to do other things. Overall, it's great. I do have another 1060, so I'm going to do this again on that, not so extreme. I'm just going to put this on there, and then I'm just going to put the, you know what I might do? I think I might just put it on, because this bolts on this heatsink. I'm curious now, if I just put this on the way it goes, it fits perfectly, and just unplug one of the fans and just have one fan, right? I mean, it's fine. It's obviously, I mean, this almost cools passively by itself anyway, so I don't think you really need 2 fans. So we'll try that. I don't know if I'll make a video about it. I'm just curious to see, and then potentially you could run the second fan off of your motherboard switch or control. Okay, so that's that. Very good project. And then I just wanted to give you a preview of a video I'm gonna make about something that I've never seen before. This kind of blew my mind. So here's what happened. I was buying the 970 that I used the twin fans for on the first part of the video, and that was 40 bucks. And the guy said, hey, I have a GTX 285 also. And I said, okay. He said, do you want it for 10 bucks more? And I said, no, I don't. Again, when you watch these videos, I don't know anything about GPUs. I've only learned what I've learned within the past probably 30 days. I know I've been posting a lot, but I'm really actually new to this GPU thing. So first of all, I don't even know what a GTX 285 is. I've heard of 710s. I've heard of something else. I don't know, like I guess a 210, which came in old computers. So he said, you know, just give me 10 bucks and you can have it. And I was like, no, I don't really think so. He said, you know what? You can just have it. I don't need it. So I said, okay, fine, I guess. And he said, it's a classified. And I said, what's a classified? And he said, I have no idea. So here it is. A GTX 285 classified. So what is this? I don't know. All I know is it weighs like, feels like 10 pounds. I mean, I can, look at, oh, it's so heavy. I can't even find reviews on this. I found reviews on the 285, but not the classified. I only could find one guy that had 4 of these, and this was supposedly a 4 SLA configuration possibility with some sort of manual overclocking. He took this apart. This cover is one solid piece of aluminum, and it's 2 millimeters thick. I mean, why did they make graphics cards so good a long time ago, and now they all are made out of flimsy nothing? So stay tuned. I'm going to take a video of this by itself. I'm not sure what to do with it. I feel like I could make this another hybrid with another 1060, but he said this card's brand new. It still has the covers on it. So leave me a comment if you made it this far in the video. Thank you for surviving through 10 minutes of rambling. But what do you think? Should I try and do another 1060 with this and make a 1060 classified? I think that would be cool. Or should I just sell it like this because it's new, and I'm sure probably there's somebody in a third world country with 3 of these and he needs the 4th one to complete his life. So should I just sell it on eBay like this? Oh, it's so heavy. Jesus Christ. I mean, I have to weigh this because it's like redonkulous, but it seems to have the same 4 holes we use. I don't know what's under here, so I don't know if this would interfere with anything. But I mean, I could imagine just making a 1060 Super, like a Superman 1060. This would be, I don't know. Anyway, if enough of you say that I should convert this to a 1060, I will do it. Otherwise, I'll put it on eBay. I feel like this would just kind of be cool, like on the shelf, you know? Your friends come over and they're like, is that a classified? And you're like, yeah. And they're like, does it? Oh, look at this too. This cracks me up. 3 6-pins. I mean, what kind of power supply do you need to have to run 4 of these? I have no idea. I'll keep looking. Stay tuned for the next video. about the 285 classified, and always thank you for watching.